Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a Rocky Mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Friday, December 25th, Saturday, December 26th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm so glad you guys can join us this night. We're doing something a little different. It's kind of just like a Christmas edition of a late night after party. If you're listening right now, you're most likely listening on Spreaker. You can also find us on Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Tumblr, SoundCloud, Deezer, Cast Addict, and just recently we've been picked up by KPNL, which you can find at kpnl-db.com. So tonight, as I had mentioned before, we're doing a late night after party, and Len Dorman had come to me and asked if perhaps he and Nikki could, they had a little thing going on. Okay, so Nikki's got a haunting. Nikki, you want to fill us in on what's been going on with you?
Haunting is a good way to put it. Oh my God. So last weekend, Len, I, and a number of others were talking about a wide variety of history topics. And Al Capone, and yes, the real Al Capone, decided to show up. And haunting is a very good way to put it, Tessa, because boy, does he have a mouth on him, and he wouldn't leave me alone. We had some issues with language in his mouth. He's got a very foul mouth. And the way he talked to me, he tried to belittle me. He does not like women whatsoever. And I just heard a phrase through my head, so it's very possible he's milling around. Anyway, so I had to put boundaries up. He didn't like that. He doesn't like any woman that has a brain in their head. And it got real nasty for a while between he and I. But funny enough, he kept coming back. And he did a lot of talking. It was fascinating what he talked about, scary what he talked about, and frightening as to what he showed me in his memories. And yeah, that was something that Len and I had, and a few others from the after party had said, we might want to talk about this at some point. So yeah, that's what the subject was, and it was very much a haunting.
Sounds like he's been keeping you busy.
Oh, he did. I had to call in a couple of favors to kind of keep me protected from him, because his energy is still extremely strong, which it didn't frighten me. I can't say it necessarily scared me, but to have somebody on the other side that was that vicious in life be that way on the spirit life, and for them to even be allowed to be that way, that really threw me with what I have been consistently told the last 2.5 years about the other side. So, and what the rules are of the other side, because there's very many rules. So anyway, yeah, he kept me on my toes, to say the least.
And Lynn, you'd had this idea of, I guess, interviewing Nikki about this, or interviewing Al Capone through Nikki. What were your thoughts? What were your ideas of what you wanted to accomplish this evening?
Well, of course, one of the questions I'd like to ask is, what is it he wants to say to the world? He wants to communicate with us, people in general. What is it? Is there anything specific he wants to say?
Oh, that's a kind of dangerous thing, Len. It's like, dear God, don't give the man a mic. He has a lot of things to say. Matter of fact, I messaged a couple of people the day after. We had this little tete-a-tete with him because there were some things that very much concerned me. And one of them was he wouldn't leave me the bleep alone. The morning after I got up from everything that we dealt with him, and he was like telling me I had to go to the mass media, and he wanted to talk, and he wanted to do this, and I was like, oh my. He gets his rocks off on being able. He wants his name back in the media. That is what I learned that morning after we had talked with him. He very much wants his name back in the media. It's a form of control for him. Big frickin' time. And I am going to be, if he truly does communicate with me tonight, I'm going to be very selective with what I say. And he's probably going to get real pissed about it. And I'm probably going to have to call in a couple of favors again to protect myself. That said, there are things that we can talk about. There are things that from last weekend that we can talk about. A friend of mine, when I gave them the information about what took place, one of their comments was because we were talking about so much history and we had so many psychics on the call, that is what most likely drew him in and brought him to us. It wasn't me alone. It was the fact that we had a number, and I think this person is right. There were a number of points that were made to me by this person, and I very much agree with what they had to say. And we've got a number of psychics on right now that are in the after party call that would most likely draw him in. I do believe he's in the foreground or background, yeah. Right now, because I did hear a comment that he made. I'm not going to repeat the comment because it was very derogatory. But he talked a lot last weekend. And I think those are things that we can talk about. I don't necessarily want to give him an amp to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, want to pause right there and introduce everybody that is in the after party at the moment. We have Mr. Waylon Colburn. We have Mr. Len Dorman, Nikki Jacobs, Robert White, Sleepy Dave Davenport, Nick, a.k.a. the Champ. I have somebody in here, JT. Who is that? JTO.
That's Jazz.
That's Sandra's friend.
Oh, yes. Sandra's friend. And then we have Miss Sandra Heath. And I think I got everybody. If I didn't, I'm sorry. But Merry Christmas, you guys, and thanks for hanging out.
Merry Christmas.
And talking about this whole thing. And Kevin McDougal. Sorry. I know I was forgetting somebody. All right, continue with what you were saying, Nikki.
I don't even know where to begin. There was so much that was really talked about last weekend. We were just talking about normal, regular United States history things. Everything from the 1920s all the way to the late 80s, early 90s, I believe. And Then the subject of Louisiana got brought up, the history of Louisiana, which I believe that was what led into Chicago. And some of the things that were talked about Chicago's history.
Well, you forgot about Hot Springs.
I forgot about what?
Yeah, we're also talking about Hot Springs history.
Oh, that's
Hot
right.
Springs, Arkansas, and me talking about the statue.
Hey, Christopher. That's right. You were talking. We're doing good.
Of course, I live in Arkansas. Tessa's family's from here, and so there's Al Capone has a history in Hot Springs. He was a frequent visitor. He was also a frequent visitor to a certain town in Tennessee.
In Tennessee.
You can. I'd like to ask Capone. Can you tell me what his favorite liquor was? Tell you that.
I'm hearing the word bourbon, but it didn't sound like the word. It started sounding like the word bourbon, but it ended differently. So I don't know what that means. And I honestly, it's not his voice that I'm hearing. Oh, good grief. Now somebody's telling me Tennessee whiskey. Oh, God. He was very selective.
He was a frequent visitor to Tennessee.
He was very selective in his alcohol. I know that.
One. Yes, he was. Very selective.
I'm not getting anything. It's silent right now. And I got all my stuff.
He was he was really selective, really like Templeton Rye from Iowa.
Mm.
Templeton Rye.
Which is rye whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of Iowa as being one of the top places for whiskey, but
well, I'm seeing a small white building. I don't know. Being shown a small white building. I have no idea where it's at. I just know it's a small white building, and it's a whiskey manufacturer. I'm not getting anything else. Well, so we talked about, yes, you're correct. We talked about the statue of Capone. And I remember telling you were talking about going there. And I said, for God's sake, whatever you do, don't touch the statue. And we were talking about the fact that you had already known that he doesn't like you. And I kept getting, don't touch the statue for you. And I didn't know why. And then the next thing I got was the psychic hit on his hands. He's got a fetish with his hands. And I'm like, why? Why does that matter? And then I received, well, he liked strangling people. And then later on in the course of that conversation, it was, no, he liked strangling women while he was having sex with them. He liked murdering women as he was having sex with them. And I was like, ew, that's nasty. But he's got a major hand fetish. Guy's really twisted. I mean, we already knew that, but it's just very, very twisted. Of course, he made the comment earlier when I was watching Die Hard 2 a little while ago, and he made the smart-ass remark. He goes, "You're twisted yourself. You've got your own little twisted sense of humor," and that's not how he phrased it. It was definitely not how he phrased it. But I was like, yeah, I've got a twisted sense of humor, but it's not twisted like yours, man. And that got a laugh. But I didn't even think he was here. But he knows we're talking about him. I can feel it. So, what was it you wanted to ask me, Len?
All right. Is he in contact with any of his other cohorts and or rivals on the other side? I can see where that can create problems, issues for him.
I heard yes. He still knows his buddies. And I'm hearing the word buddy boys. I'm like, what the hell? Okay. I do know this. The day after the morning after, we talked to him, and he was pestering me and trying to put these thought forms into my head. And I realized instantly what he was doing, and I wasn't very nice to him. Let's just put it that way. I had my say. Told him he better knock it off, or I was going to start. He has a nickname for me. I'm not going to say it. It's derogatory towards women. And it's definitely from that time period. And I finally told him, I said, and I'm getting told, don't say the name. Basically, I told him if he didn't knock it off, I'd nickname him. And I found one word that pisses him off exponentially. So if he doesn't behave himself with me, I will verbalize that name.
I know what it is.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, the point is that he calmed down after that. He stopped trying to put thought forms into my head. And that was when I realized that he's been doing that since he's been dead. He's been doing that with certain people, living human beings, to get them to do his bidding. And I'm like, oh, that's unacceptable. I didn't even know. From what I have been told from the other side, multiple beings from the other side, a person like Capone is not supposed to be able to do what they're doing. They're supposed to be somebody that is that evil. They are supposed to go into I don't know the phrase for it. So I'm just going to call it what we would call it. It's like a mental institution, and they get somewhat reformed.
Yeah, purgatory.
And I don't consider this purgatory, Christopher. This is not what I would classify as purgatory. They're put into like this hospital type environment. I don't know how else to say it other than how I'm saying it. And they have some type of reforming and done on them mentally, and on their spirit. And their spirit, until they're finished with that, that's when they're released. They go back through the process. He has not. He's not reincarnated, and it's probably a damn good thing he hasn't. He's getting his rocks off on being able to make, as he says it, make people do what I want them to do. And I'm like, so I don't understand why Source is allowing it. Makes no sense to me. Because it is being allowed. And it makes me question who else on the other side that is evil, truly evil, that has been allowed to do what this guy's been doing. That is extremely concerning to me, because this guy, Capone, he's manipulating people. He's manipulating living human beings, and it's coming across to the human being as it's their own thought. That's BS. It's not their own thought. He's putting it in their heads. And yes, spirit can do that. So I'm a little concerned, because that morning he outright told me that he was having murders being committed by human beings, living human beings, that he was trying to control. And that should be worrisome for anybody on this planet. So, anything else, Len?
A little bit of history. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
there are a lot. A little bit of history. Back in the 80s and 90s, a lot of mob activity, a lot of mobsters were put in jail by the FBI in Chicago. Everybody thinks they completely destroyed the mob in New York and Chicago back in the 80s and 90s, and they destroyed a lot of it. But there were 3 gangs allowed to survive in Chicago. They just could not get anything on them, so those gangs survived to this. One of them is the 26th Street Gang, which under Al Capone became the Chicago outfit, Capone's mob. Now, due to the investigations in the 80s and 90s, all the people being put in Nick the Stick. He was a Chicago alderman, but the FBI went after him. Nobody in Chicago was going to touch him. He got put in jail. But that ended a lot of the command structure of the outfit, but they couldn't get anything on anybody else. So that gang still survives to this day, just south of Chinatown area. And now, tell me that wasn't manipulation of law officials, informants, et cetera, government officials, to where they destroyed most of the gang in Chicago, but leave Capone's gang that he took over when he came to Chicago, the 26th Street Gang, which is the core that he built his empire on.
Well, I'm being told he
that's
did
not
some.
a little bit fishy.
I'm being told that he did some, but he didn't do all. What I'm hearing is, quote, others. Hang on a second. Did you use the word partake? No, it's like a word like partake. Boy, is that French? Is that word French? No, I'm just not hearing it. That's fine. Basically, what I heard was others did that. He's really quiet.
Okay.
He's not as loud as he was last weekend.
Okay. Does he remember?
I know it was him. I can feel it.
Okay. Does he remember Johnny Dodd and Hines?
You're cutting in and out.
Do they still do work for him? Okay. Does Johnny Dodds and Earl Hines still work for him?
Well, I'm getting a yes, but I'm here to tell you I caught him in a lie last weekend, so, you can't always expect the truth from from him. So just know that.
Okay. A little bit of history on these two people. They both have a history with Capone. Johnny Dodds was approached by Capone to play a certain jazz song.
Oh, you gotta stop.
This song.
Len, you gotta stop. I'm being shown images at this moment. When did that man die? Man, that's flipping my stomach out. When did that man?
I don't have when Johnny Dodds died.
Somebody else find that for me, would you? I know people are listening on the radio. Somebody find that for me and private message me, because I'm being shown imagery in my head, and it is not.
Johnny Dodds died in 1940.
Did they ever recover his body?
Capone did. He just died of old age in 1940.
That's not what I'm being shown or told. Of course, like I said, he's been known to lie. He's probably, if he's not showing me that person, he's showing me somebody else. Man.
Okay. He walked up to Johnny Dodds, and Johnny Dodds told him he didn't know that song Al Capone wanted to hear. So Al Capone pulled out a $100 bill, ripped it, and gave half of the $100 bill to Johnny Dodds and said, "When you learn this song, I'll give you the other half of the bill." So this goes to the extent that he liked to get his power over people.
Oh, honey. That doesn't show the extent of how he got his power over people. The shark-infested chumming waters, that would do it.
Yeah,
that's a story all in amongst itself.
That's the really violent side. God. He liked to just he liked to flex his muscle through power. Now, wow. The other guy I asked about, Earl Kenneth Hines. He was born in 2003. He died in 83, I guess 80 years old. Now,
yeah, I'm still being shown some other person's death.
Like Earl Hines so well that Capone assigned 2 bodyguards to Earl Hines. This is how much Capone liked jazz.
Yeah,
that's a little bit of a love, a little bit of a fetish with him, that he liked jazz. It's one of the things he and I have in common. I love the good New Orleans jazz, and especially Dodd. He was a known jazz musician out of New Orleans. He was very good at what he did. That's just two people in the jazz world that Capone manipulated. He manipulated with money, didn't kill him.
Were there any other questions that you had?
By the way, Nikki, I will make one comment about something you said earlier.
Yeah.
When I mentioned the rye whiskey, you were seeing a small white house.
Well, it's a small white building, not a house.
Okay, but there where they manufacture that rye whiskey I was talking about is not a regular manufacturing brick and mortar looking factory. It looks like a small house from a distance and is white and gray. So if you saw one small portion of that one building,
no, I didn't see one small.
What you were seeing.
I saw the entire front and one side of it, and it looked like it was a wood building that was painted white. I don't remember the color of the trim. Like not the baseboards, the Oh, for God's sake. I know my construction terms, and right now I can't think of the boards up on top of the front of the building. They looked, well, I suppose they could be gray. I'm not 100% sure, but the building was white. It was wood. And it wasn't very big. Not big at all.
This is, you're describing where Templeton Rye is still to this day being made. They lost their license for a little while, but they've got it back, and now they can sell their rye whiskey anywhere they want to. And you're describing their building.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that. So
I tell you, you're spot on with your description of the building.
thank you for that. Thank you for the confirmation. So how come you got interested in Capone?
What I'm trying to do, confirm something I knew from history.
Yeah, I appreciate that. How come you got interested in Capone?
I lived in Chicago for 14 years, and of course, every place that he is usually investigated by, or at least walked by investigators. The Valentine's Day Massacre. But you can't investigate it. There's just an empty lot next to an old folks' home, and if you hang around their fence very long, they will call the police on you. His two people was watching the place, for the ambush. That those apartments are still for rent. You can't investigate there anymore because people live there. There is a pizza parlor there on the first floor of the place now, where the lady used to live that rented the place. And they get mad at you when you start talking about Capone in there. But you can walk by the place, maybe walk back and forth a couple of times without getting the police called on you. Tour buses are complained about. And if they stop, they call the police, and the police will cite the driver for traffic obstruction. That's how tight they have to keep that place.
Has anybody ever gone?
Hear a dog howling.
Has anybody gone? It's a vacant lot, right?
Correct.
Has anybody gone and just sat down, cross-legged in the middle of the lot? Cops called on him?
Can't get in there. It's fenced off and locked up. They don't allow anybody to walk in there except the people who cut the grass, I guess. Now, people have gone and tried to sit down for at least a few minutes. They're outside the fence, and they hear dogs howling. Sometimes you'll hear gunshot. Just walking by there, if you open yourself up, anybody with kind of mental abilities can feel the creep factor. Also, the bricks, of course, it replaces the cartage. People say, is that carriage? No, it's cartage. It was a trucking place. They had, and if you wanted to move, you go into the cartage place and sign, okay, I want this and this picked up at this and this time and delivered to this address. They would deliver either shipments of stuff you were selling, stuff you had bought, or they would move you in all of your possessions. Cartage. It was a cartage company. That's why they had trucks. Okay, so that's why the mechanic was in there that got killed.
So I've got another question. Most people that are listening know about me and know that I'm a psychic and medium and clairvoyant and blah, blah, blah. But I know there are some people that are listening that don't know about you and what you do. Do you have a group? Do you do paranormal? I lost the word. Go into buildings and do paranormal events? What do you do?
I've just about done it all. And now I don't try investigations. I've only done 2, and didn't really enjoy either one. I have done my own investigation of Lincoln Park and the Camp Douglas sites in Chicago. I've been to, and that was a public investigation. I've gone to public investigations either alone or as a group. I've gone in places by myself and in public, down in New Orleans, Oakville, Chicago. I've investigated completely by myself here in Arkansas, several battlefields, and a local hospital that was known for its semi-possessions. They used to run a haunted house, but they had to stop in the house because people who were working in the haunted house were starting to be affected by in semi-possessed.
Oh,
and I went in there and got voices. Yeah, I got voices. Apparently, a nurse was saying, "Don't talk, don't speak, don't talk to him." To people the other spirits that were there, and I heard very loud footsteps 3 times. And I immediately investigated where the footsteps were coming from, and ran to the area because I thought I was being watched by police out front because I was in there, and occasionally a homeless person goes in there. But and I thought it was the police. I thought the police were going, "Okay, you've been here for 3 or 4 hours. Are you okay?" Kind of thing. The first time I looked, the guy was in his police car, and nobody was in the building with me. The second time I looked out front, the cop was gone. But I searched the entire building, couldn't find anybody in the building with me, although I heard footsteps 20 feet away, stomping on kind of a dampish carpet. The roof of the place is not very good anymore. As far as a group, yeah, I've got a title. I call it CR Paranormal Society, but I am a member because in my small town, it's just nobody wants to do investigations down here. Yeah, a guy I know that was down here for many years, he had a group and tried to maintain that group out of Little Rock. And just before I came down here, he just closed down his paranormal group because people were just quitting because they kind of lost interest. And he couldn't keep a group going. I told him I moved down here. He said, "Man, I wish you'd come in here 5 years ago. You and I could have done some stuff." So I came to Arkansas maybe 5 years too late to team up with Alan Lowe to do some serious investigating. I'm the last paranormal investigator that was allowed in the now closed and now torn down French Quarter Wax Museum. I have a couple hours of video of me being locked in that place by myself. And talking about a creep factor, in the middle of the French Quarter, in a wax museum, lights off, hearing voices, hearing footsteps, and realize you're locked in the building. Now, Champ has a question. He can go ahead and type it in, and we'll see if we can answer it. As far as the interest of Capone, I've been by his house, investigated in front of his house. His house is in a paranormal hotspot. It's very close to Lincoln Park, where thousands of bodies supposedly got relocated and did not.
Which house?
That's where these. Huh? His
Which
family
house?
home.
His family home in Chicago.
Yeah. Family home in Chicago.
Okay.
It's right. It's also located very, very close, but it's about halfway between where Camp Douglas was, where 4,000 to 6,000 people died over 4 years during the Civil War. It's located the other side of it, about the same distance, where Lincoln Park, where they supposedly moved the bodies and they didn't. And those 4,000 to 6,000 were initially buried, and they were moved. But a lot of the bodies in Lincoln Park were not moved. The Fort Dearborn Massacre is within 5 minutes walking distance from his old front door. There's a lot of tragedies in Chicago that happened very close to the Al Capone home. And if you go a little bit further south, you've also got a couple of homes.
How many homes did Capone have?
We only had one that was his actual home, although he did not live there. This is where his wife and his kid live.
Okay, and
you could actually see the lake in the house. He lived in hotels. He did not. He didn't want people to come around his house.
Okay, and what about the house in Florida?
That was his getaway. That
was his vacation
home? He only
home?
had it just a few years. That was his vacation home. They used it when their family wanted to get out of Chicago. They were snowbirds. They go down there a lot during the summer. Backwards during the winter. And who can blame him? He lived for 14 years. Why stay in Chicago? During the wintertime, when you got snow on the ground steadily, when you can go down there and live in South Florida, where you don't have to worry about it. Did I miss a question from Champ?
It just came in. I can't click on anything, otherwise I lose everybody. While he's finding it, there were a lot of topics talked about. Everything from how much Capone loved killing those he slept with violently, fetishes that he had with his own hands and large hands, the fact that he literally showed me human hamburger, quote unquote, mincemeat is what he would call it. He showed me a boat. Come to find out it wasn't his boat. And then later he showed me his boat. Stop me if you're able to read Nick's question.
I think he was about to go eat something, but he said he did have a question. I'm sure he'll ask it, but he asked basically if it was okay if he went to eat. Sleepy was saying he was a card dealer. Let me see what exactly he said. But he pretty much said, that he'd kick Capone's butt at cards. He said, "Tell Capone I was a table games dealer. I'll kick his ass in some blackjack." And he wanted to hear what he had to say about that.
I'm not hearing a response to that, Sleepy. It's dead silent, man. I'm wondering if we get enough of us talking about Chicago's history again, he might either that or I've put too many boundaries on him for him to really come and stand near me and talk again. I don't know if he'll do it again. I just heard a nope. I'm like, okay.
Nikki, let me ask you a straightforward question. You can pass on. Did Al Capone kill or have killed Big Jim Colosimo?
The first response I heard was a no. The second response I heard was a yes. Now I'm being screamed at. I'm being screamed. He's saying no. Oh God, tone. Watch the freaking tone, please. That was really loud on my ears.
Jeez, oh, Pete.
Wow. Whoa. He's screaming no. Wasn't him.
He's screaming no. Okay. But
Wow.
Big Jim, to show some history, was
I
the
don't know,
one
it
who
could
brought Capone in from New York, and he's the one that allowed Capone to run some boxing venues because he promoted boxing in Chicago for a while, and he was also a bouncer at a few brothels.
I'm being told that Capone liked boxing a lot. Okay, please don't be graphic like that again. Oh my God, I do. Okay, I know you get your rocks off on freaking me out. That doesn't freak me out. I just don't appreciate seeing blood being spewed out of a guy's mouth as they're being hit. Thank you. Ooh.
So
Oh
much
my God.
boxing.
Yeah, it's boxing. It's fist boxing. It's no gloves. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like a boxing mat. It's on a stand. The mat is on a stand, but it's not like a regular ring around it. I don't even know what do you describe it for that? But it's fisticuff. It's fist on fist, fist on face, fist. Oh, geez. And now I'm hearing ribs break. Ugh. Just as long as I'm not seeing the blood. Oh, thank you. We don't need to go down the chumming of the waters again. Thank you very much. I had my fill of that last weekend. That's one of those memories I really am going to work on removing from my head. Jeez.
You notice I've not asked any Florida questions.
I don't know where this is at, but there's
people.
people. There's mass people surrounding this ring. Excuse me, like, I don't know, like 10, 12 rows deep of people, and they're all standing. They're not sitting, they're standing. It's like this isn't a warehouse. Did he do that? Did he do that kind of stuff? Promote that kind of stuff? I have no idea.
The people themselves made the ring. The men standing around is the ring. That's how they did the perimeter were the people around there. There was no ring. They just created a fight in the middle of a warehouse or middle of a building, and the guys went at it. And they bet on them.
This is like on a. It's like the ring itself is on a box. It's maybe 2 feet tall, and there's like a white but yet gray colored, almost what we would use now as a futon mattress, only much thinner. Oh my God, so much thinner. On top of their crates. I was going to say cartons. I just got corrected. The word is crate. It's like they're on top of crates.
Yeah, and that's not padded stuff. That's hard stuff.
That's hard. Yeah, you land on that, you're going to be hurting.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Now, if
Hey, Merry Christmas, Andy, mate.
Hey.
Hello,
Andy.
Hi, Andy.
What's up, man?
If you wonder what this looks like, if you looked at watched the movie Batman v Superman, there was a time early in the movie where Bruce Wayne is trying to get information from Lex Luthor, and he knew that one of Lex Luthor's guys bet on this outlaw boxing. No real gloves involved, and it was just like, I don't know who that was that was describing the boxing, where the guys were the ring.
Yeah,
this is what they had. So this has actually been shown in more than one movie, but most recently in the Batman v Superman movie, where Bruce Wayne was actually sponsoring a boxer and the guy who worked for Lex Luthor was sponsoring another boxer, and they were having a fight. This is what we're talking about, where wealthier people would sponsor a boxer, and they'd go in there and pound each other. Al Capone was a promoter for this, and this is how he. Champ, enjoy your meal. This is how he got his start making money. Is in boxing. And like you said, Nick, he loved blood and guts. He liked the blood power, people getting hit, people getting punched, knocked out, severely injured. He liked this. This is a form of excitement for him.
Excitement. He got sexually excited by this, and he got psychological. I mean, he got hit. When I say he got his rocks off, I'm not joking. It's like it triggered endorphins in his brain. He was extremely excited. I don't know what that's called psychologically. Only, I mean, a profiler would know. Demented. I mean, this guy was, oh yeah, really freaking demented. Really demented. And he's laughing. He thinks it's funny that I'm calling him that. And just a moment ago when Len was talking, he was telling me, oh, I've got it. No, I'm not going to use that word publicly. Thank you very much. He was just saying, oh, I've got to take it easier on you. And I'm like, oh, bull crap. I mean, he wasn't last week. He doesn't have to take it easy on me now, but it's just,
He's what we call a sadist.
He's like, oh, you're a woman. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't mean that I can't handle stuff. He's like, well, women can't handle anything. And I'm like, oh, if we're going to start this crap again, you and I are going to go rounds. He's like, no, I'm not putting up with that. I'm not putting up with the derogatory shit.
A little bit
I know that. Sorry.
Prairie Avenue was one of the top spots to people to live, still kind of in the day today, and back then is one of the nicer neighborhoods of Chicago on the south side. Prairie Avenue is where a lot of stuff happened. You got the Glissner house there. You got the Clark house there. These are all in walking distance. That's Al Capone's house. The guy's address, 7244 South Prairie Avenue. This also may have been what you were seeing. What was for the house? That's Al Capone's family home in Chicago.
Historical house, then.
It's also kind of white and straight. Yes, I've been there. He bought that house in 1923 to show you how much money he was making really quick when he came to Chicago.
So, I'm gonna kind of cut.
Did he have anything to do with? Did he have anything to do with Dean O'Banion's death?
I just heard. I'm not talking about that. Some of the stuff that we talked about last weekend. Some of the stuff that we talked about last weekend was he was showing me imagery of how he was actually murdering people. One of those, and I didn't know this. I didn't know this about his history. Was that I was shown an image of a very heavy-duty black, what looked like a black garbage bag, only it was like big, almost kind of like what coroners use for body bags, only it was bigger. And there was a boat, and off the end of the boat was this bag, and his guys He was in the cabin at the time, but his guys would start chumming the water. They'd open up this plastic bag, or what looked like plastic to me. I don't know what it was actually made of. For that matter, it could have been black canvas that had been waxed. I have not a clue. Anyway, they're opening up the black bag off the end of this boat, and you see body parts being thrown into the water. Person's head, person's arm, lots and lots of blood, sinew, veins coming out of an arm. Interestingly enough, a lot of them were clean cuts. Some of them would look like they'd been pulled off the body, but they were chumming the waters and chumming the water for sharks. And the next thing off of his memories, something that he actually showed me, was him bringing up a guy, living human being. Don't know who I don't know who this person is. And I'm being shown Capone shooting him repeatedly. He's still standing. He's doubled over, but he's still standing. And then Capone actually, with this guy, he was pushed overboard, and they waited until there were a lot of sharks in the water. And Capone got his rocks off on watching the guy screaming and being literally eaten alive and pulled apart by multiple sharks. The next guy that was brought up, same thing, shot multiple times, blood coming out everywhere. One of them, this guy was hit in the femoral artery of his leg, and he was picked up and thrown over because he was down on his knees. Two of the Capone's guys, I don't have a clue as to who these people are. Okay, I don't honestly know if I would recognize them. I might, but I don't honestly know if I would recognize them from pictures, from faces. Body, I would most likely recognize their bodies than their faces, because the imagery that he was showing me was so graphic, so horrific, that I tried not to focus on faces. I tried to focus more on bodies and clothing, and I saw a lot of brown, a lot of people wearing brown, color brown.
On that note, we are going to go to our first musical break. On this break, we have Gravity with Throw You Away. We also have Fred Johnson III with Sugar, Gravity with Take a Walk in My Shoes, and Prime Example with Dancing Machine. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this musical break.
did our love go wrong, my fair girl?
Down the street, thinking all the things you said you need. Why don't you tell me, baby, how do you feel? So I walk down the street, thinking all the things you said you need. Why don't you tell me, baby, how do you feel? Don't you take a walk? Why don't you take a walk in my shoes? Why don't you take a walk before you tell me what to do? Don't you take a walk? Why don't you take a walk in my shoes? Why don't you take a walk before you tell me what to do? No, it's easy. You tell me what to do. Have you ever stopped to think all the things that I've been through? No, it's easy. You tell me what to do. Have you ever stopped to think all the things that I've been through? Don't you take a walk? Don't you take a walk in my shoes? Don't you, baby, take a walk before you tell me what to do? Don't you take a walk? Don't you take a walk in my shoes? Don't you, baby, take a walk before you tell me what to do?
dance your pants off. I really love it how your body's so soft. Dance all night, little lady, it's your call. Step, 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 baby, follow my lead. You and me showing off for the club to see. No time to get rest, we doing our thing. Cha-cha, then we dip, top it off with a spin. Glide across the floor, let's do it again. By the way, little mama, can we be friends? I can't let this night just end. I really wanna know if I can see you again. Give me your number, we'll get back on the scene. We can hit another club if that's your thing. We'll be partners in crime, you and me, as we ripping up floors like two dancing machines.
That's full on that section.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. We're doing a Christmas special late night after party, and we're talking about Dirty Rotten Al Capone. We have Nikki Jacobs on. We have Len Dorman, Sleepy Dave Davenport, Waylon Colburn, Robert White, Andy Mate from Australia. We got Christopher Fisher, Mooney, Sandra Heath, and is your friend still here? There's two more people that I cannot see. But welcome back, everybody, and thanks so much for hanging out. And like I said, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa.
Merry Christmas, everybody. It's definitely been interesting. My uncle showed up. My great uncle showed up yesterday, and I was like, "Who the heck is in my bathroom?" I have a bedroom, and off the bedroom is a bathroom, and I had a bathroom light on, and I saw this dark shadowed, full-bodied. I don't want to call it an apparition, but I saw this head walk through the bathroom with the light on, and I'm like, okay, I saw you. Who the hell are you, and what do you want? And about a minute and a half later, I have a cane in my hallway that is between a wall and a door, and it's literally in the corner of the wall. And the cane is picked up and thrown across the freaking floor. Literally thrown across, and nobody else is around. And I'm like, get up. I'm like, what the? And I'm looking down at this cane, and I'm going, okay, where's Rick? Rick's nowhere near around. And I'm like, yeah, okay, someone wants attention. And then a little while later, a friend of mine goes, that's your uncle. I went, which one? And she goes, he's a prankster. And she starts describing him. And I went, oh my. And she goes, Joe. And I went, what? Because just a couple of days before, my entire family had shown up. And I had my great uncles and my great aunts and my grandparents around me, and which was really, really cool. And then later that night, after the cane gets thrown, I'm sitting down and I'm talking with a friend on a video call, and my uncle starts talking to me, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute, my friend. My uncle's talking to me. Wait a minute. I can't hear you both at the same time. So, yeah, it's been kind of an interesting Christmas. Got some really cool messages, but the life and times of a psychic. From Al Capone to your whole family. kind
Quite a large group.
of yes, a very large
Well, Nikki, what I want to do in our conversation
Yes.
is take it from Chicago to Florida. Let's move ahead a little bit, a couple of years in time,
Fine.
and geographically move very far south. One more thing about Chicago.
Did he cut people's
What
heads
does
off?
Al Capone?
Sorry,
What does
I'm being,
Al Capone think?
oof. I'm being shown fingers being cut off. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I'm being, wow. Ugh.
Okay.
Sorry, he's trying to get to me and it's not getting to me. It's just like, ew. Sorry. Okay, that's disgusting. Moving on. Sorry, Len, go on, please.
Throw these names at him. Alizi, Alcimi, and Guanta. Giunta. So excuse my southern pronunciation of Italian names.
That was the second one that I got a hit on. Say the second name.
Ansemi, Anselmi.
Yeah, that's the one I'm getting at. Is that the one that he met in Sicily? Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm not sure where he met him, but they were Al Capone's men.
Yeah, because hang on a second. I'm trying to figure this out because I keep being shown Sicily. Last week, one of the things when you had asked point blank, what other countries, or did you ever go out of the United States? And he had said point blank, Sicily. And I went, Sicily? What the hell were you doing in Sicily? And then, yeah, and that's what I'm getting right now is he knew this person from Sicily. How, I don't know. But that's the name.
Of course, you need to see a person from Sicily. To be the top people in the mob, the Italian mob, you had to be from Sicily. You had to be Sicilia. It helped to be from Italy. And there you go. Somebody just stated the history of the name I put out. And he's from Sicily. There you go.
Okay, Robert just posted Albert Anselmi, born Alberto Anselmi, July 15th, 1883, in Marsala, Sicily, May 7, 1929, in Chicago, was an Italian-American mobster who became a hitman during Prohibition era and with partner, and I can't see the name, partner John Scalise, and I know I mispronounced that. Sorry for that last name being mispronounced, was one of the Chicago outfit's most successful hitmen in Prohibition era Chicago. The pair are often referred to as the Murder Twins. Yikes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yikes.
And if another name, Joe Aiello.
That name I know. I don't know why I know it, but I know it.
Aiello.
Yeah.
All the people I've talked about, Al Capone knew. They traded him and were conspiring against him.
My stomach's doing flip-flops over that name. Something. What did he do to Capone? Because there's something that he's done. If my stomach's doing flip-flops, it means that there's something really freaking major. It wasn't publicized. Whew, man.
They were all four of these people were friends of Capone that portrayed him. And
wow.
Capone, this is a story. Like Waylon was bringing up earlier, you hear stories. The story on these four men was after a night of drinking, Capone beat them with a baseball bat. He was a big White Sox fan.
Well, and he had an extensive amount of rage. Even I got that from last weekend. He really extremely twisted sense of morality, extremely twisted sense of what he classified as friendship was not friendship. Man, that name is really doing numbers on my stomach. He must have done something absolutely horrific to that man. Man.
Sorry about
Did he? Were there ever stories about him putting that man through okay, I'm being shown a meat grinder, but I was a big blender. Mincemeat. I'm being told mincemeat. He became mincemeat. Oh, God.
It may have been how they disposed of the body.
God, that is so gross. Putting people through. That was something else we had talked about. We had talked about not the American Food and Drug. What was it we had talked about? We had talked about. I had mentioned cow farms.
Talking about
can't think
the
of
stockade in Chicago. The stockade and the slaughterhouse.
The slaughterhouses. That's what I was trying to remember. We had talked about extensive amount of things, and Capone had shown me literally a human being going through. The only thing I could classify it as is professional, industrial-sized meat grinders, and he classified, if he ever said the word mincemeat, they became human hamburger, and they were literally put into. Oh, this is so gross. They were literally mixed. The body was mixed in with cow hamburger, basically, and it was put out. Oh my God. It'd be lovely if the government finds that out. Couldn't do anything about it now, but back then, geez.
No.
I mean, seriously, the stuff he was showing me last week still makes my stomach turn, but it's not, I don't know what he did to this guy, but a meat grinder is different. And I'm being told he put some of them into restaurants. Oh, God. That's disgusting. I wonder if there's any. Is there any? What I want to know is if there is anybody out there listening who could verify, not qualify, verify this information that I keep getting from him about human meat. I mean, seriously, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it or not, but geez, it's just beyond disgusting.
Let me ask you another direct question, see what he says about this. Did he, during the Depression years, serve human meat in his soup kitchens that he had in Chicago.
Yes, human and horse. He mixed it with horse
He
meat.
had during the
How
Depression.
the hell did he mix it with horse? I don't know. Yeah, I was told human and horse.
Human and horse.
Human
That's how
and
he opened up
horse.
his soup kitchens.
I don't know if that's how he opened it up, but that's what he said. I don't know. You got to remember, look, Len, you got to remember, this guy lied to me once. He could be lying about any of this. I mean, just because a spirit tells you something doesn't mean that it's necessarily true. But if I'm getting psychic gut intuition, hardcore words making my stomach turn, I know he's telling me truth. And that I want looked into. I want that frickin' checked out. But there's nothing that could be done about it now because it happened, 80, 90 years ago? But still, I mean, seriously.
We're closing on this being 100 years ago. This was done in the 1920s and early 30s.
Yep.
So we're looking at 95 years ago.
That's why I don't understand why Source would allow him to be roaming free. And there's a song verse roaming through my head. Free and easy is the way we go. It's not the exact song phrase, but it's free and easy. I don't understand why he's being allowed to even roam the way he is. He's still choosing to talk to me. Why, I don't know, because he can't stand women. He can't stand women with a brain. And he really can't stand the fact that I talk back to him. I mean, I did put him in his place. Oh my God, I really put him in his place last week, but he still comes back. He tried to manipulate me the following morning, and yet at the same time, who's to say he's not manipulating me now?
That's right.
So, I don't know. I mean, you can't trust any of the answers that he gives, but yet at the same time, I know with the download that he gave me about the chumming of the waters, I know that when two individuals that were in the chat room had talked about the property in Florida, he was standing not 2 feet from me saying, your friend is right. There's that many bodies underneath the pool.
Wow.
And I know he was telling me the truth then. I could feel it. But, and when the two gentlemen who were on the call last week, when they said how many bodies are actually on the property, and I'm sure the government has checked, but what I was specifically told was that the bodies that are on that property, the one in Florida, Robert, the one that that's funny. Jesus, Robert. Sorry, Robert just posted something in the private chat, and I'm like, geez. Anyway, I know that he's telling the truth. I can't tell you exactly how I know, but I know that he's telling the truth about the amount of bodies that are on the property. The two guys were saying between 22 and 25 bodies total on that property. And he was agreeing with it. He's like, yeah, that's about right. No, he said something a little bit different, but that's essentially it in a nutshell. And so, but what he did say was that the bodies that are there are deeper than what anybody, including the police, believe they were. That's a little concerning. But he mostly got rid of bodies via chumming water, via throwing them in very deep areas of bodies of water. He ground them up and got rid of them. So it how much more graphic. I mean, and the fetish with his hands. What the hell? He had a major fetish with his hands. I'm just like, so I don't know. It's just you got to be careful when you're dealing with somebody like him because of the psychology of them. You got to protect yourself, and I wasn't really ready for all of that last weekend. And thankfully, when I called in a couple of favors, I was protected, and I'm definitely protected right now. I know that. I can feel it. But at the same time, it still makes you wonder what the hell is real out of all of this and what isn't. I mean, you were able to confirm, Len, that the White House that I kept seeing, well, it's not a White House, it's a white building, that I kept seeing, you were able to confirm that. There were a lot of things that you were able to confirm last weekend with me, and that is extremely appreciated coming from a psychic. So the other things, we tried to talk about the statue. We tried talking about sorry, I'm trying to figure out missing women. What I would like to know is how many missing women came up missing in the 1920s and 1930s that revolved around Capone. I want that to be checked out. And how many missing women were actually missing and nobody knew that they were around Capone, but they actually were. A lot of the women, like I said earlier, a lot of the women were murdered by him during sex. They were to be used and thrown away. And that's how, and Robert just said he got 481, the number 481. So I think in the United States, I think Capone was probably the biggest mass murderer. At least in my opinion, based on all the information that I got that I know is true. It's just, that's a pretty scary thought. You know, I don't think they considered him.
Never convicted.
I'm sorry, he was never what?
Never convicted. He was never convicted of a murder. They never had anybody want to testify against him or press charges against him for any kind of assault.
No, they were all dead.
Charge against him. Yeah. They had to get him on income tax, and they played the devil getting that because he had nothing in his name.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Even
not
his
even
property.
the house in. Not even the house in the property, the house in Chicago wasn't in his name? Whose name was it in?
No. I think his wife's. He is. He didn't want to pay taxes on it. He was supposedly a person living with no income.
Well, that's a lie. And everybody knew it. Wow.
His property down in Florida was not in his name. Technically, his businesses owned it, but payments from the businesses to him were what was covered up in coding in accounting books.
Wow. Well, back to the boat for a second. I did find during this week the boat in one of the pictures that I saw that was listed as Capone's boat. The lettering is the lettering that I saw in the image that he kept showing me with the boat. But the imagery that he showed me in the download, the back of the boat didn't have the canvas cover over the top. It didn't have poles up. Yeah, somebody the one that I saw was white. It didn't have that much wood, but it was white. But there were two boats. So he did, at least for two of the murders, he used his own boat when they went chumming for the waters. But the other boat, I've come real close to finding it, but I can't seem to pull. I keep pulling the name Guppy or Gumby off the back of that boat that they used, the white boat. It's Guppy, Gumby, or Puppy. I think it's Guppy, Guppy, off the back of the white boat. But I did find out that, yeah, he did use for at least two of the chumming of the waters. And there was some kind of drain in the bottom of the boat because they were able to drain the liquid, the blood and the water, the seawater, down through the drain to out into the ocean. So, because somebody had to specially clean that, because I was being shown that he had ordered, I don't know who, but one of his men to clean that drain a specific, very, very specific way. So that no evidence would ever be found. I was like, that's disgusting. Because that drain's going to have hair, it's going to have blood, it's going to have just all kinds of, just disgusting. So, and I don't even know if that boat is still around. Yeah.
I think that boat was long lost. Can he tell you, and you tell me, who he bought the Florida property from?
I'm getting a smart ass remark, John Boy. I have no idea what that means. To me, it's a smart ass response. Now I'm getting the name Jonathan. I have no idea. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Hang on.
So yeah, I'm not saying anything.
No, I'm not. I keep getting the name Jonathan, and I don't think that's right. Doesn't feel right. Keys, I'm getting the name Keys. Keyes. Keys.
Florida Keys.
Well, see, that's what I was wondering.
You be talking about Florida Keys. You're talking about that's just a few miles south of Key Biscayne. That's not that far.
I'm being shown another house. Somebody he knew owned a house further down from him. You know the picture of the that property that you eventually showed me after I started describing it?
Yes.
It's to the right of that. So I don't know how far down that piece of land goes, you know, how many homes, but it's quite some distance down. He knew there's body, and I just got told there's bodies buried there too. Oh, that's lovely. Do I really want to know how many? Is 15.
Wow.
15 to 17 bodies buried on that other property. Oh, that's lovely. Do I get an address? No, he's not giving me an address. He's showing me the property though. I wonder if it looks the same. Most of those homes, unless they've got additions to them, will have the same basic layout on the outside. Now I'm hearing the number 17.
Down there in that area
17,
not
there's
really
17 bodies. Huh?
17 bodies.
Yeah, there's 17 bodies on that property. Did he have somebody that he called John Boy? That he used to call Johnny or John Boy? In his group or his team?
Not that I know of.
Huh.
Not that I've ever seen.
I wonder how true it is. Because that wasn't given to me by him. That was given to me by one of my spirit guides. You would think it would be true. But I still question it because it revolves around Capone. Interesting.
Well, everything should be put in question. Nobody knows
yeah,
the whole truth.
Excuse me. The only one that knows is dead. The only one that knows is dead.
Yeah.
Are the only ones that know. I'm wondering actually how many people he killed. I wonder if he really is the biggest mass murderer there was in the United States.
Well, if you count the people he had killed,
yeah,
it'd be a much larger number than killed.
Yeah, that's essentially what I mean. Yeah, Robert said thousands. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Somebody just told me to be careful. I understand why. But it makes me wonder.
To answer the question I asked earlier, you said it was
which one?
Jonathan or John Boy or somebody. He bought the house in Florida from August Bush.
What was the last name? Augie. He called him Augie. Oh, good grief.
I believe that was a nickname for August. Yeah. August Bush, which of course is Anheuser-Busch, manufacturers of Budweiser and Busch beers.
Oh, lovely.
So yes, there's a St. Louis connection there from August Bush. That's who he bought the house from.
Yeah. That's a name you wouldn't mess with either.
I've always pictured from Capone was his love and I feel appreciation from him toward Pullman cars. He always, when he wanted to go to Little Rock, Hot Springs, when he went down to his home down in Florida for the winter. He rented the entire car of a Pullman sleeper car. You pick that up?
No, I'm not getting anything right now. It's just kind of silent.
That was that. I guess too pleasant of a memory, because he did a lot of travel in Pullman cars. He didn't go in car. I mean, the speed limit for a car, the roads were horrible back in the 20s, and a car top speed on a flat road was 30 miles an hour, and on most roads you're down to 20 or less. So why limit yourself to days traveling in a car when you can rent you a Pullman sleeper car and take your whole party with you and party all the way down? That's what he did. He didn't go on cars or trucks or anything like that. He rented Pullman. So he had a relationship with Pullman, which is, of course, Chicago-based. Pullman cars are built way south of Chicago. They still have a section of a suburb of Chicago that's called Pullman. They've tried to restore the area.
Sorry, I'm still in on. No, I'm not getting nothing. I'm still in on how mentally twisted this guy was, and how. I mean, he just really got his rocks off. It's just I've never come across anything quite like it. I mean, there's not like this. I mean, this guy loved the idea of spiking the women he was with, like literally spike through the head while he's having sex. This guy enjoyed watching people scream. Very sadistic. Very, very sadistic. Scream while they're in agony while something is being cut off of them. And yeah, other people did it unless his rage kicked in. Then he was, I keep seeing Tommy guns. The big round barrels.
The hell out of him when they almost killed him.
Yeah, the amount of rage is just insane. And why somebody would be allowed on the other side to do what they're doing. Oh, I'm getting poor quality connection. Oh dear.
Uh-oh.
Well, we can keep trying. Okay, that's good. So, any other questions?
The phone had a little bit of history. Do you remember being arrested in Miami?
Silence. I'm getting silence. I don't even feel him around me anymore. I think he feels like he's bored. He's not able to. It feels like he's bored. Feels like it's being done to death. Bored. Nothing interesting to him. Unless I can shock Nikki. Yeah, he's not. He's out. Yeah. So there's that.
Checked out.
Yeah, he's checked out. He's like, I'm done. he got happy when he was able to shock me on a couple of things. Yeah.
Now the
I don't
shock's over
get
with,
people
he's
like
bored.
that. Just, yeah. Yep. I don't know. I don't get
He
people
started
like
talking
him.
about
I
boring
don't get
stuff,
the
he left town.
Yep. I don't get people like him in the mentality. I just don't. It's so detrimentally negative and toxic. And I'm into positive stuff. I mean, it's going to take me a while to get these images out of, like the chumming of the waters. I keep bringing it back to that just because it was so graphic. Tonight, it's the fist into some guy's face and blood and mucus coming out of the guy's mouth. It's going to take me a little bit to get that one out of my head, but the chumming of the waters, that's the one that just, and the human mincemeat. Oh my God. It's going to take me a while to work that one out of my head.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit of reason. Since he's not talking anymore, this was boring stuff. He got arrested in 1930 in Miami, believe this or not, for vagrancy.
Seriously?
Vagrancy?
Yeah. He's one of the richest people in the country at the time. But of course, that was off the record. But he got arrested for vagrancy because the mayor of Miami at the time wanted him run out of Florida. Because it was just to harass him. And then he got charged. He got charged with perjury because he made a claim that the Miami police had refused him food when he was arrested. He threatened to arrest his family. So he said that in court, and of course you're not supposed to lie in court, so they charged him with perjury, and he was out, and then the charges just kind of disappeared. But it's kind of funny that here's two charges against him. One for vagrancy, one for perjury. Mayor of Miami is trying to run him out of the state of Florida, and all of a sudden, all that's gone. Why did all that stuff get gone?
Money, honey. He had control. He has some serious control issues. You know, nothing new when you're dealing with a person of that nature. But it's actually, to me, it's really scary to me at the fact that he could whisper in somebody's ear and get them to think about doing something detrimental. I mean, that's messed up. And the fact that I caught him at it with me, and the fact that I was like, oh, no, you bleeply do not. I mean, it speaks volumes as to what he's willing to try with people. And because I deal with positivity and how I operate and work in my life and how I work in my work, I'll let information come through and flow and stuff, but I will not put up with shit from no one. I don't give a crap who's on the other side and who wants to talk to me. And most spirits and most beings know that if they want to talk to me, they've got to be on a specific frequency, and they better be respectful. And as you guys found out and saw, many of you that were on the call last weekend saw firsthand, I don't put up with shit. And if you're going to talk to me the way he was talking to me, and not just the foul language, I mean, I have a potty mouth too. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that I throw the F-bomb here and there quite frequently. But yeah, Nick. And, they also know I've got a Yeah, they know I've got a pretty good potty mouth. But when you're talking derogatory shit against women and have the mentality, oh my, says Mooney, and the mentality of hardcore putting a woman down or putting any human being down and trying to control and manipulate them in every stinking possibility, I'm going to fight that. And I'm going to fight it hardcore if I have to. And the fact that I was so stunned that he kept coming back time and time again, and it got heated. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and have him tell me and call me specific, dirty, foul names. And the mentality that goes with that. I'm like, no, I don't have to sit here and take your crap. I don't have to talk to you. I'll be happy to talk to you if you can be respectful. And if you can't be respectful, and boy, he did not like that. Man, he walked away in a huff. And there were times where I had to stop you guys from talking, you guys in chat, because he got so nasty. And I'm like, no way. No one's going to talk to me or any of my friends like that. And they're not going to treat any of us like that. That is inexcusable. We're willing to listen to what you have to say, but you're not going to be the dominatrix, be the domineering asshole. Yes.
On that note,
God,
we're going to have a little pause for the cause. On this musical break, we have prime example. Roy Washington is a part of this musical group, and he's the one who gives us all of our music for our music breaks. This song is called Power Play. We have Gravity with My Last Goodbye, Dan Medina with I Won't Let You Go, and Fred Johnson III with After Dark. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this musical break.
Lifetime was a man in the hood, tricked, misguided, and misunderstood, till one day he cried out, Lord, save me, teach me the lessons of life, won't you raise me, because I tried everything under my hat, and I found all my plans were tears in the white. I need a hero, a real life camaraderie, to step in, receive me, and deliver a power play, something to raise my head from the dust. It's the must I find someone in whom I can trust. I must grow in knowledge, live what I learn. I'm so glad to meet you, yo, my name is Vern. Lead me any way that you would, and I'll share. I need your power play. Yeah, here comes another one. So good to be clothed in your right mind. Dreams to the front and all past behind. Memories of things you did so absurd. Came to the curb, now burns the word. Cause often we're little now, problems can grind us, but with power from God, yo, we all still victorious. Listen to the seed, the knowledge, and digest the real only cause a trooper like Jay keeps it righteous. And express a prime example of a vocalist, adjust your bubble. Leroy D is like dangerous trouble. Trouble if you want it, peace if you with it. Never before known of a man who can stand it, but so irrelevant. So kick it in if you will, Lord. And I'll shield. I need your power play. Yeah. Here comes another one. Knowledge, and now you're not guessing. When power meets the darkness, the devil's got to go. That's my Weasel, and now he's going loco. If you got a problem, God can solve it. Power from the general, and you're in his outfit. Why must the fit stay dirty so filthy? Get off your rear and whitewash the pickings. Power for cleansing, power for sanitizing, power for us, power for the rising of the sun. Cause in your darkest hour, you can look up and express to feel the power up. I need your power play. Yeah. Comes another one.
Things can't be unsaid. Streets of these are going to dead end. Listening to waves on windy days, standing by the wall, making sense of it all. So alone in the dark, all alone in the dark, all alone in the dark. You're alone in the dark. 'Cause I want dark, so alone in the dark. 'Cause I won't let you go. I won't let you go. You're so far away, always with me in my soul. Yeah, yeah, and I won't let you go. And I won't let you go. My driver pulls up in my limousine, ready to take me anywhere I want to be. I said, I want to go. Take me to a college scene. I'd like to go and dance, have drinks, and hunt the perfect day. Yeah. Living at the dark, I search lonely streets to find hidden shadows in the dark. It doesn't matter what I say. Secret homicides arranged in a series of pursuits. No matter what I say, after dark, I gave her face because she had the range. I knew she was the one that never could go home again. Plastic life by limo seats. I don't know why I can't control this urge to hurt again. Yeah. Living at the dark, I search lonely streets to find hidden shadows in the dark. It doesn't matter what I say. Jesus in the sky, murder forever after. No matter what I say, after dark. Feeling ran to arguments and fear. Hiding place with days of December. Concerning works furnished in revenge. It doesn't matter what I say. It really doesn't. No matter what I say, after dark. It doesn't matter what I say. Secret homicides arranged in a series of pursuits. No matter what I say, it's in the sky, murder forever after. It doesn't matter what I say. Rude and fatal, lacking the hint of conscience. No matter what I say, after dark.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for tuning in to We Are Paradox Media. You are listening to Late Night in the Rockies. We're having a Christmas extra late after party. It's actually not late. This is when we generally do our after party, but we're doing a late show. Welcome back, crew. Merry Christmas. Merry Crisis.
One Natal.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Yes, on to a new year. 2021 is when Mad Max was based in, the year of Mad Max, so
Yeah.
makes you wonder.
Look forward to.
Yeah.
I think Nikki and I are kind of done, Tess. I'm not sure what you want to do for the rest of your show, because apparently Al Capone caught his Pullman train, went down to Florida.
Right? Well, I mean, we can just continue as we would in our after party, just talking about random different things as we do on break. So if there's anything in particular that anyone would like to discuss or to talk about, feel free to.
Oh, I would like to talk to Nikki about my grandpa. I've been thinking for a while.
Okay. Do you want me to use his name, his short name?
Yes, that's how he likes to be called.
Okay. We're not going to talk about how royal he is, okay?
I don't want to talk about that. I want to know about his generations, how they lived back then.
Okay.
We
can open it up for other questions, because I know Nick had a question.
Okay.
I thought Nick had a question. Write it down, sweetheart. You got a question for me? Ask away.
Give us the 2021 outlook. Y'all knew
I haven't done that in a while. I haven't done that in a while. Well, I know this. I'm being abducted again.
Do you need any help?
No.
Okay. I was just, you know how I am.
I know. No, I'm, are we on? Are we live?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm being abducted again. So I got it all. I don't even know how to explain.
Who said I heard something? My name. I need my hearing.
Taylor knows so much about unions and had so much experience with unions. Do you remember? You know the name Union Salonica, Siciliana. I'm trying to get the Italian pronunciation here. I'm failing miserably at it. Basically, Union of Sicily.
Well, there's unions. I worked out of the. What are you asking me specifically about? What? I don't understand what you're saying about the definition of the word or what.
No, had you ever heard of this particular union? It's the Union of Sicily that's mostly Italian people.
Well, you have a lot of unions. I worked in a lot of places in Europe. I worked in Germany. I worked in Dominican Republic, Hawaii. I've been in Canada. I've been in Puerto Rico. I've been in Jamaica. I've worked in a lot of different places and saw a lot of different women and men in unions. The union is to me, the union is not as strong as it used to be. It's not even, it's basically, it was destroyed like I told you before, like they did the mob. The government destroyed it.
Right.
Yeah.
You're correct. And I fully agree with what you're saying. This particular union was renamed the Italian American National Union. If you'd ever heard of it.
No, I've never. I mean, if there's another word, is there another word that goes with it or something? You're getting at?
Yeah, AFL.
You talking
mostly a union that controlled the Italian vote in elections.
No, that would be, you're going back. You're talking something like the AFL-CIO and on regards in line with that. Am I thinking right or am I wrong? Did I take a wrong turn?
This was a part of the AFL-CIO back before their foundation.
Okay.
This was a union formed by Sicilia in the United States that controlled the Italian vote for decades in American politics. Now, I just wonder if you'd ever heard any kind of rumors about this during all your years of working unions.
No, that was still before my time. You would have had to probably talk to my uncle or my granddad. It was way back then. It was born at that time. I've heard a lot of different, like I said, I've met with a lot of different unions and representatives and presidents and this and that. But, I mean, it's just, they control the vote in the United States of America at one time. They did.
That's the group I'm talking about.
The union controlled the vote in this country right here. That's how John F. Kennedy got elected.
Right.
If it hadn't been,
I've also heard a rumor.
Go ahead.
I also heard a rumor that's how Truman got elected. The union's out of Kansas City.
Well, that's where my home local is out of. When I worked with the Boilermakers, is what I work with. It was our home local is in Kansas City. That's where we're at. That's where our home local is at. Sure is. Yeah. Where our main headquarters are.
And that's the rumors that I've heard. Totally unsubstantiated now. This is nothing you can talk about in court.
Right.
But that the unions were so strong in Kansas City that they're the ones that got Truman elected.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you're going back before my time. A lot of people ask me my age. Okay, I'll tell you, I'll be 63 September the 11th of this year. That's how old I am. So September the 11th, sort of, you don't forget that day, do you?
No, you don't.
No. I kid around and joke. I like to look at the light side of things a lot of times, but that's how old I'll be September the 11th. I'll be 63. So you're going back. I've heard a lot of rumors and stories in my time to let somebody else talk. I mean, I've heard so many. Gosh, I could sit and talk for hours with you, man. I mean, if you want my phone number, you're welcome to call me or chat with me anytime you want to. Like I said, I can get along with anybody.
Well, you seem like a very intelligent, very nice man. It's a pleasure knowing you and a pleasure talking with you.
Well, I don't know if some people would put me in that category. Since it's Christmas, maybe I'll take that one. I'll take that one for tonight anyway. Thank you very much.
I would agree with that.
I knew what was coming. Yeah, I knew it was. Thanks.
I'm an agreeable sort. As far as where I come from, I was born and raised in Georgia. I was friends with Jimmy Carter's mother from back in the 60s. We used to go to wrestling together. I knew Jimmy well before he elected up into politics very far. Knew him when he was running for governor. So that's where I go back politically.
We used to call.
He was a good man. He was a little bit.
We called Jimmy Carter the rock. He was the rock and roll president. That's what we called him.
Right. They have a TV special on him right now being shown, showing just how much he was into rock and roll.
Yeah. That's what he was called by the union guys. He was a rock and roll president. That was the. They may have put that on him. Them and probably the rock and rollers did. Probably the Allman Brothers, if I'm thinking correctly, may have done it.
Well, the Allman Brothers were Georgia people out of Macon.
Right. Yeah.
Nikki, you asked me about Macon last week. There's another connection to Macon. I told you a couple of connections I had. There's a connection which are affiliated with the Allman Brothers, who were out of Macon. So
No,
it's a nice blanket that I'm weaving together here.
Well, we've got a question regarding, oh my God, his name just went out of my head. Capone.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's Nick asking the question.
Yeah.
Nick is asking, he's asking specifically to Capone, what made you so cruel and mean? Was it the Civil War? I'm not getting a response. Nick, if I ever get a response to that, boy, I will let you know. I will. Wow, because that actually fascinates me too. I
don't think he'll
he's
tell
silent.
you.
He's silent, right? Well, he might. If I get him to talk,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When
My
people are
thinking about
silent.
Capone,
Yeah.
what made him so mean was pure, sheer greed. And the reason Capone's coming back and getting energy back from today, that you have in this country, I'm all for capitalism. I'm a firm believer in capitalism. That's what runs America. We're a capitalist country. No matter what you say or what you want to feel, we're based on money here, which means we're a capitalist society. This country is based on capitalism. But we have a bad problem of runaway greed.
Oh, yeah.
And Capone was runaway greed in his time.
I'm literally picking up little boy, the term little boy. I'm wondering if something happened to him when he was a little boy, when he was a child, real young child. What I keep seeing is somebody that's under the age of 8, somewhere around the age of 5. Anybody know about his life at the age of 5, between the ages of 5 and 8 years old?
I believe he was bullied on the streets of New York.
Well, yeah, 5 years old. I'm no longer getting little boy. I'm no longer getting 8. I'm getting the number 5. I wonder what the hell it was that happened. Now that's got me curious.
Probably some kind of,
quote, never again.
Probably
Never,
some kind
never,
of bullying incident.
never again. That's his quote. Never again.
Might have got his ass kicked in the streets of New York.
Probably.
Yeah, there are some stories that I've heard.
Jennifer in the chat room was wondering if he was adopted as a child.
No,
I got the word no, and then like a fraction of a second later, I heard the word yes. But I'm wondering if the reason why I got the phrase or the word yes after it is because someone tried. I don't think he was. Orphan. I got the word orphan. I just got the word orphan. Not wanted. Well, that's interesting. So in other words, nobody showed you love. Nobody showed you how to love. Well, that actually makes sense with certain things. Now I'm being shown very dirty street and mud and urine in the street. Oh, that's disgusting. Yeah, I asked, didn't I?
It was like New York.
It's like a cobblestone street is what I'm being shown. It's like there's mud in the street, or at least that's what it looks like. I don't know what it is, but I'm smelling urine. Oh, that's disgusting.
Okay. Nikki.
That's disgusting. What?
Think about when Capone was born, 1899. And when he was 4 or 5 years old.
Honey, hang on a second. I got to smell something nice. Just a minute. I stick my nose on a piece of chocolate. I'm not joking when I say stick my nose on a piece of chocolate. Oh my God.
What was going on? And Layton, you might can help me out with this.
Yeah.
What was going on in the 5 Points section of New York City in 1905, 1910?
God.
A lot of.
Surprised that didn't cause a headache. That was disgusting.
A lot of it was cobblestone and brick streets.
Sure it was.
And there were no cars back then. Most of your carts and stuff like that were hauled by horse.
Now I'm seeing long skirts. He's so short at this time. I'm seeing long skirts walk by him, black skirts walk by him. He's a beggar on the streets.
Wow.
Back then, New York City.
He's showing you a beggar.
Yeah. Reminded you of Paris. Back streets of Paris, New York did a lot of it. Well, they reminded you of one another if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I knew this was New York. I knew it was from New York from the. And he's smelling
5 Points.
salami. He
Yeah,
smells
bullshit.
salami nearby. Something there must have been a meat store nearby.
No, another
this is
store.
interesting.
You got to remember, we're talking about 5 Points in New York City. Even your latter gangsters, and I'm talking about the people who made Las Vegas and who started the real organized crime in New York, made it run as a business for years. And you know who I'm talking about. They came up in the 5 Points area of New York. Where were most of your meat sold? They didn't have stores. They were in open markets on the street.
Well, I'm assuming it's a store simply based on it's a brick building. I'm seeing a brick building. I can't even describe it as being red. No, it's a gray brick. Gray brick? Really? Yeah, it's gray brick. And that smells of meat. Not raw meat, like hanging. That's why I keep saying I'm asking salami, because it's hanging. It's hanging from hooks. It's
You're talking about processed meat.
It's like sausage. Processed meat. It's like it's hanging from, I want to call it stockings. I don't know what else to call them, but stockings that reminds me of how they do links, like sausage links. But this stuff is like, it's been cured, but you can smell it.
Right.
You can smell it down the street. That's what I'm smelling.
Look at
Rather smell that than
if you look at that
Jesus.
section of New York, look at that section of New York around 5 Points, around 1905 to 1910. Most of your meats were sold. Well, there was not much refrigeration available at that time at all, and it's too expensive for everybody to have. That's the word.
Smoked meat. It's smoked meat. That's what I'm smelling.
Some kind of netting or something hanging up there, and that's where you bought your meat.
That is modern day 14th Street now.
Silver hooks. They're on silver hooks.
That's what we call modern day 14th Street now. 5 Points is probably. I think that's my 14th Street down through there now. I'm not.
And there you go. Who posted that picture of the two guys by the truck? That
Robert
was later. In 1910, that would have been a wagon with a horse in front of it.
Yeah.
The guys would have been dressed similar, and like you say, selling smoked and processed meat.
Oh,
and
he wants
what was available.
Sorry for him.
Yeah.
He's hung. It's like I can feel He's hungry. He's like 5 years old. I can feel it. He's 5 years old. He's on the streets. He's hungry. He's smelling urine around him. Mud. He's in mud. And he's hungry. He's a little boy who's hungry.
Jennifer, she was wondering if perhaps he was abused by his dad.
Well, he was abused on the street. I know that from what I'm feeling. People hit him as he went by, as they went by.
And
The men would
that's
hit
a
him.
good picture of inside of a store.
Jesus. He still wants me feeling sorry for. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. That's how you grew up. I get it. I don't have to feel. I mean, yeah, that's
Robert is
not a way to grow up. I get
some
that.
very interesting periodic pictures. I don't know if he's getting these, but his research is impeccable because that's what we're talking about look like.
Well, Robert is a psychic.
That's exactly. You didn't have brick streets. You were in mud.
Yep.
Yeah. Just like England, Paris, all those same things.
That's the kind of. Let's say that's the kind of brick I was seeing, but it's like it had around the windows. It was white, or not white, gray. Interesting. Never knew. Never cared to know. Now I know, and I'm like, wow, okay. That's an awful.
It was the streets of New York, being in a strange place. His parents were immigrants. They were Sicilian, immigrated to this country in New York. So you can imagine a family that come over here with nothing. They had nothing. They struggled to live day to day. You can imagine two angry parents struggling to make it. Little kid coming up in the 5 Points area in New York, one of the roughest, toughest areas in the country at that time, and coming up as a young child in that area. He was probably abused at home, abused in the streets, learned how to fight, learned how to hurt people, and probably learned how to kill at a very, very young age.
He's sadistic. He's extremely sadistic. That is, yeah.
It affected him in a bad way. See, I can't identify with people like that because I did not come from rich folks at all. But my father had his own business, and where they had my parents had their issues, and I'm not going to go into that because we'll be till New Year's talking about my parents and the mistakes they made. But I was never starved.
I think we all, right?
I got my share of fights.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. This is that picture right there. Look at that Robert just posted.
Well,
that's kind of
describe
shithole
it,
living they had back then.
Describe the picture so the people on the radio know what you're looking at.
That one I got, it says the original version of the Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
Before the movie was made, obviously. But it's smaller.
The Gangs of New York was in the 50s.
Yeah.
This is in the 1850s and 60s because the gangs in New York pretty well ended during the Civil War. But this shit started in the late 1800s. You had all the people living in crowded places or were living literally on top of each other. You had entire families living in one small room. I mean, I'm sitting here in a 12 by 15 room, which is my den. The reason the back wall is not very focused is it doesn't have a whole lot of light. And it's about the back wall is 14 feet for the camera on this computer, which is why it's not in focus. Back in New York, at the turn of the century, the introduction of 20 years, 6 people living in a room this big, with loud neighbors, rowdy neighbors, shitty neighbors, knifings, fights on a nightly thing. And this is the world that Al Capone come up in.
I'm going to stop you for a second. I want to put out a warning to I want to put out a warning to any clairvoyant, psychic, medium, empath, anybody with abilities. If you pick up on, because you are listening, if you pick up on Al Capone and his energy and getting nudged, it's what I call being nudged. It's what he does. He whispers. I want this warning to go out to all of you here and now. Keep your frequency level high. I'm not joking. He will try to nudge and whisper in your ear. And you'll think it's your idea. Keep your positive energy positive. I don't know why I feel like I have to. I do know why. But on one hand, I don't know why this has to be a warning. On the other hand, I know why, because of what he's done to me. You need to keep your frequency high or higher than it normally is. And I would do that for at least 3 or 4 days. Okay? Know that. Know that you check every thought that you've got. I'm not joking when I say that. Make sure it's your own thought. If you're empathic, you know what I'm talking about. If you're even a low-level empathic, you know what I'm talking about. Mooney, you're being a stinker.
Is that why I was trying to get my focus out of Al Capone?
Is that why you were trying to get your focus off of Al Capone? Is that what you asked me?
Yeah. I really did not like.
Probably because you don't like the energy that he has. He's got a very specific domineering energy.
I don't like it.
He can calm that energy down, and he can do the whispering to make it like it's your own. But it's a nudge, nudge, push, push type of energy. And if it keeps coming up at least twice, the same thought within the fraction of a second or even within a minute, ask yourself, is this really my energy? Is this really mine? I want you to be careful because this guy is really freaking good at manipulation. So that said, we're no longer on Christmas Day or the day after Christmas on many areas of the planet. And now I'm 12:18 a.m. Pacific time. So just be forewarned, keep your energy higher than normal, and check yourself just to be sure, because this guy, like I said, likes to manipulate. And why should you allow him? Don't allow him anything.
Christopher.
What?
Christopher should be well aware of what you're saying, Nikki, because he and I have had to deal with the downside of discussing H.H. Holmes on an internet show.
Yeah, Christopher knows.
Christopher in my life got affected by him.
Yeah.
H.H. Holmes is another powerful, evil spirit who will manipulate you if he's got a chance. I think I stopped him. I don't know how permanent it is, but I think I stopped him. I haven't had any problems with him, and nobody I talked to is. His great-great-grandson, Jeff Mudgett, stopped having problems. In fact, he's had no contact with his ancestor in a couple of years since I hopefully, I'm not saying I did or didn't, but hopefully I fixed the H.H. Holmes problem.
If it's not fixed, come talk to me.
He's screwed. He's screwed with Chris. I got pissed. I got violent and dealt with the situation.
Yeah, I know how to deal with that kind of stuff too. I'm very, very good at it. I don't like doing it, but if I have to, I will. And the other side knows not to mess with me. So
I I didn't like it, and that's probably another reason Capone doesn't like me, because if he messed with me or messed with Chris or any of my other friends, he knows that I can get extremely violent, and that side of me is not somebody you want to fool with.
Yeah,
I did
I'm very good
that
defense
other
too.
spirits have told me that I did stuff with that you have said, Nikki, yourself, you can't talk about. Some things that you were told to
yeah.
talk with me
There
about.
are certain times and
that's
certain
one of them.
certain situations where you cannot talk about certain things because they are so detrimental. It will bring certain beings, certain entities, or certain ETs, for that matter, right back onto the into this situation, and you do not want that. So, yeah, you gotta learn to protect yourself.
And
If you don't
can be in that situation.
Yeah, Nikki. Yeah, you can probably tell why I wanted to go chat with my grandfather. I was frightened.
I know. And you and I, in after the show, we can talk about your grandfather and get into that.
That'd probably get me back down to a more calmer level.
Yes, I think so.
Capone frightens me.
Okay, Christopher, I'm going to put a block around you. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Mooney just posted something hilarious.
Yeah, I'm trying to get myself away from this.
That was hilarious, Benny.
Okay, it's going around you right now, Christopher.
Yeah, I feel like something bad being taken away, which is good.
You're getting put into a bubble.
Did you see what my camera just did?
The bubble is complete. And
wow. Now he won't bother me.
No. You're really susceptible right now. I didn't realize you were that susceptible.
Christopher is extremely susceptible to problems with powerful entities like Capone, Bruno Rodi, H.H. Holmes, etc., etc., etc. And you need to have a bubble around him or he is susceptible to that, which is not a good thing.
I'm more susceptible to human entities than I am to demons.
Well, they also know if they screw with you, they're going to be screwing with you. So,
yeah,
they know not to screw with you.
Yeah. After I need to do something about it. So, but we both know what to do.
Yep, we do.
I talked to my
Anybody
grandpa.
screws with Christopher, they're going to be dealing with me and a number of others, and they don't want that on their hands. So, we get nasty about it. Christopher is a special deal to us. So.
Yes.
Say the
special
least.
Man, special human being, and I don't want anybody messing with Christopher.
Yeah.
After the show, I want to talk to Papa.
Okay. We can do that, sweetheart. Oh no, he fell over.
Did his head fall off? His head fell off. Oh no.
There you are. Someone pick him up. Christopher has a tendency to... Are we still on air?
Yeah, we have about 11 minutes left.
Okay. Christopher has a tendency to lean over in his chair, and so that's why he goes off camera. when he leans over. So that's what all that was about.
I always say his head fell off.
It's very sweet. Yeah, the other side knows that if anybody messes with Christopher, there's a number of us that'll come after whatever.
Yeah, on this
it
side
is.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. He's our little brother, and it's like, nope, you don't screw with him.
Jennifer.
Were there any more questions?
Jennifer said that her spirit guide says we need to take a deep breath in and out. Do this 3 times and meditate and let go of the bad energy if there is any residual bad energy or anything regarding the show and Al Capone and I guess any other dark entity that you might deal with.
I agree with that. I also keep your frequency higher, Moonstar. Keep your energies
knows
higher.
how to deal with it.
Yeah. Robert's very good with a lot of different things. He's a phenomenal energy worker.
Yeah, he is. Him and I took a little trip to the catacombs of Rome. Asked.
Oh, that's pretty cool. When did you do that?
Long time ago.
Several years ago. Me and Robert have known each other a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably even before you,
I
Nikki.
can see you now.
Yeah. That's really cool, Christopher.
Yeah, Snoopy behind you.
Got enough. The Red Baron.
If I can, this is Kevin Moon. One of the things that we often forget about Capone is that one of the reasons why he got away with all these things is because he was so popular with the people. If he would have ran for mayor, there was a good chance that he would have won.
That's sick.
When you talk about the stuff about in Florida and the cases being dismissed and everything, the popularity, his popularity and the idea of the mayor bringing cases against him would have made the mayor so unpopular that he would probably been booted out of town, even in Florida. That far away from Chicago.
That goes straight to the control issues that he has.
Yeah, he was. He knew how to control the people. He knew how to make the public love him. Those kitchens that the soup kitchens, stuff like that, he ran, and the other things he did for the people that were on the street and stuff like that. He gave them the idea of some hope, and he gave them an idea that he was out there doing good for them, even though he was just robbing them blind along with everybody else. It was their money, it was their support and everything like that. He would rob, these warehouses and these food trucks and everything else. And he might take in enough food to run the kitchens, but he was also taking enough food in to make a surplus of money and everything like that. And people didn't understand that. They thought he, on the one side, he was just robbing enough to help the people, but he was making such a huge amount of money, like you guys were talking about. He was one of the richest people in the world at the time, and so his popularity and people don't, people forget about people that do these horrible, hideous things can be so popular in the public's eyes.
That's really scary.
We forget about how these people are manipulators.
Master manipulators. Wow.
And we see them today. Right now,
Yeah.
we see them happening right now in the public. These master manipulators, they lie to the public. They lie about everything they do. They go about their business every day, They destroy your lives and they lie to you while they're doing it, and people support them blindly. It's just a matter of propaganda and just a matter of how they go about running their lives, and it's amazing how people fall for it. But enough said on that. I'll just leave it at the Capone part.
I agree with everything you said.
I do too.
I agree with everything Mooney just said.
So that's part of what he learned, I'm sure, as a child, was how to manipulate people. When you talk about growing up on the street like that, that's part of the lessons he learned.
Yep.
And that's growing up in that kind of a atmosphere is not an easy atmosphere to grow up in, but he learned how to manipulate people, and
he was taught.
Yeah, and you can imagine how much he laughed about it and he enjoyed it, and that was part of his sicko,
sick and twisted mentality.
Repertoire.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to throw that in. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mooney.
Thank you, Mooney.
Thank you a lot. I agree with everything you said. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Bada boom.
I'm like, and then
bada boom. Bada boom, bada boom, bada boom.
Got real quiet, real fast.
Brought up something in the last comment he made. He was like Hitler. Hitler had magnetism. Hitler was a fantastic speaker. Let's just name it what it is. He was a fantastic orator. He knew how to speak to people. He knew what to say. He knew how loud to say it. He could throw his voice. He could talk people into going against their own best interest. And that's how these great people become great. Capone, H.H. Holmes was a ladies' man. He was a mass murderer, but he was a ladies' man. He could go into any bar, talk a woman out of her clothes at a time when women weren't like this. It's not like today where you walk in any strip club, you see a naked chick. This is back in the days before that. Sheer magnetism from their speaking voice and how they put things and how they spoke. And the great ones, Hitler, H.H. Holmes, Capone, all these people, Mussolini, another one, that knew what to say and how to say it to people to get followers worshiping them. And that they're not just people who like them, they're people who worship them.
What year was it that Capone died? Yeah, what year was it that Capone died?
Ooh. He died early in life, January 25th, 1947.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, you guys,
73 years ago.
We are at the end of our time, but thanks, Len, for calling me and setting this up. It's been really cool spending part of my Christmas with you guys, even if it's only for, the few hours. It's been very interesting conversation, to say the least.
Out with all of you.
For sure. It's like another family.
Loved it.
Thank you
again. Enjoyed it, yeah.
For sure.
Thank you, Elsa.
Thank you, Nikki. And thank you to all of our friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook, Spreaker, Twitter, Periscope, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight. I had a wonderful time this evening, and I can't wait to do it again tomorrow night. We have the Paradox Paranormal Forum. I've got a couple interesting things I want to discuss, and anybody who's on the forum, think of some things as well. And then on Sunday night, we have Jenna Kay and Scott Fithen, and their group is called Jenna Kay and Scott Investigate. Don't forget, you guys, we're all in this together. Together we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. Until next time, nighty night, love and light. You guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you back here, same time, same place. Before we head out, I did want to remind you we have Sleepy Dave on Mondays. We have Doc Skinner on Fridays. I also want to thank our sponsors, Kevin McDougal, Del Elson, Jim Morris, Mia Savage, and of course our musical host, Quest, aka Roy Washington, from Prime Example, for providing us with the luxury of the music. Bye now.